The millionaire shocks everyone by offering $80K for a fake wife, but she refuses. The ballroom went dead silent. Dead. Glasses hung frozen mid-air. A sudden chill cut through the crowd, sharper even than the crisp autumn breeze outside. Jackson Pierce, billionaire, tech genius, and master of mystery, had just dropped a bomb, right in the middle of the high-profile charity gala. His voice, usually smooth as silk, cracked just enough to scramble everyone's senses. "I'm offering $80,000, he announced, cold eyes scanning the glittering faces, "to anyone willing to be my wife, just for appearances." Boos, gasps, and confused whispers swirled instantly. The kind of scene you only see in tabloids or the darkest corners of rumor mills. Jackson's sleek penthouse overlooking New York City now seemed worlds away from this jarring declaration. His usual perfect calm? Gone. Tonight he was a tempest, restless, raw, hanging on the edge of some unseen abyss. A silver ring flashed in the low light as he ran a hand through his dark hair nervously. You could practically feel the tension squeeze the air, like someone twisted the room tighter and tighter. The crowd recoiled, shock frozen on every face. Journalists frantically scribbled notes. Investors blinked, unsure if this was a joke or a new kind of madness. Then, from the shadows near the grand staircase, Emma Clark stepped forward, sharp as a knife. Her paint-stained jacket clashed with the high society glitter around her. Nothing about her screamed fake wife material. She looked tired but fierce, worn leather boots tapping sharply on the polished floor like a heartbeat none could ignore. Jackson's eyes locked on Emma. The room held its breath. $80,000? She said, voice cutting clean through the haze. "No thanks." A sharp laugh escaped her, like a defiant flame. The words hit harder than any shockwave. They sliced through the chatter and rules of the night. Whispers exploded. Who is she? How dare she refuse him? Is this some kind of scandal? Jackson's gaze didn't waver, but slowed. Was it surprise? Maybe respect? The room filled with prickly tension. The smooth hum of polite conversation shattered. The glittering crowd seemed to shrink, the warmth vanishing alongside the usual chatter. Was Jackson desperate? Hiding something dark behind those sharp suits and luxury cars? And Emma, what was she protecting by saying no? Pride? A secret? Something worse? Outside, the night pressed cold and quiet against the ballroom's tall windows, like a warning. As the gale of whispers swirled around them both, the charity gala's pomp suddenly felt like a mask cracking, revealing raw nerves tangled with money, secrets, and danger. Questions haunted every corner. Why did Jackson need a fake wife so badly? Why risk this public drama? And what did Emma see that no one else did? The answers were buried beneath the glitter and gold, hidden behind eyes that didn't blink, and a refusal that cracked the perfect surface. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without warning. Just quickly check that red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming your way. And while you're at it, leave that powerful like. It helps me a lot with the algo. The room didn't just hold its breath. It stopped breathing. Emma's refusal hung in the heavy air like a dropped glass, shattering every polite pretense. Jackson stood frozen, eyes narrowing into slits, jaw twitching like he wrestled a storm inside. Then, just when the tension threatened to burst, a sharp crack split the silence. A loud pop, like a gunshot. Then screams. The grand chandelier above trembled, twisting on its chains. Crystal droplets exploded downward, sharp shards of glass raining like glittering daggers. Panic surged. Guests ducked, scrambling for cover. Women shrieked. Men grabbed children, hands clutching purses and coats, feet slipping on marble. Emma's eyes locked on Jackson, who suddenly staggered, clutching his chest with a twisting gasp, like someone had shoved a knife deep beneath his ribs. "No, no," he croaked, his usual calm washed away in terror. The crowd's chaos fell into a shocked hush when Jackson collapsed, crumpling onto the floor, chest risen, his pale face drained of color, cold sweat shining on his forehead. The polished ballroom floor reflected panic, faces frozen in horror, eyes wide and unblinking. Emma shoved through the crowd, heart pounding loud, so loud it seemed to drown out the distant sirens wailing. Her hands pressed over Jackson's chest, trying to push hard, hard enough to make the pain stop. But beneath her fingers, something darker was happening. Then her phone buzzed. Just once. A text flashed on the screen. From Jackson. It said, "Don't trust Emma." A shiver tore through her entire body. Her skin crawled as the crowd parted, whispering blows and accusations. Emma's fingers trembled over Jackson's racing heartbeat in his neck. How could Jackson, collapsing here, pleading for someone to be his fake wife, and then warn against her? What game was this? Or worse, what threat? Sirens grew louder now. Glass crunched under hurried footsteps. Emma looked up. The room tilted, faces blurred. But every shot, every whisper, every stare carved something deep inside her. A secret darker than any of them guessed. She didn't know whether to help Jackson or run as fast as she could. But one thing was clear through the storm of confusion. Nothing here was what it seemed. Not the offer, not the refusal, not the man gasping for life on that cold floor. And most terrifying of all, maybe not even Emma herself, the chandelier's last crystals tinkled down like tears. And the crowd's fractured murmur drifted into a single burning question. Who was really playing who? Before anyone could answer, a final unopened text buzzed in Emma's hand. She glanced down. It read, "Look behind you." The ballroom felt like it swallowed her whole, cold, empty, dangerous. She turned slowly, because whatever she faced next would shred everything she thought was true. And maybe, just maybe, it hadn't even started yet. Emma's breath caught tight in her throat as she slowly turned around. The ballroom was still, a frozen snapshot of panic and glitter. The cluster of faces behind her blurred like a fog, but one figure stood sharp and clear. It was Liam, Jackson's longtime right-hand man and closest confidant. Only tonight, Liam wasn't the composed, suit-perfect fixer everyone knew. His face was pale. His eyes were wild, haunted. He held a small, blood-smeared envelope trembling in his hand. "Emma," he whispered hoarsely, voice cracking like dry ice breaking. "You have to listen. Now." The murmurs swelled around them, but all Emma heard was the lump rising in her throat and the pounding thud of her heart racing faster than a bullet. Liam stepped closer, voice dropping to a harsh whisper. "Jackson never wanted a fake wife. He was trying to protect you." A cold jolt ran through Emma's spine. "Protect me?" she asked, voice shaking. "From what?" Liam's gaze darted nervously over his shoulder. "From him." He pushed the envelope toward her fingers. Inside, proof. Jackson wasn't the victim. He was the target. And someone close has been playing both of you. Emma's fingers brushed the paper. Her whole body screamed to pull back, but something desperate made her tear it open. Inside was a photo. Her own photo. But not the Emma everyone thought they knew. This picture showed Emma, smiling, glowing, arms wrapped around Jackson, standing behind closed doors. But there was something else. Another face. A grim shadow lurking in the corner. A second glance sent the air whooshing from her lungs. That face, the shadow, was hers, but older, harder. Cold eyes locked on Jackson like a predator, waiting to strike. Emma's mouth went dry. A sudden numb chill crept in, squeezing her chest tight. She blinked. The photo slipped from her trembling hands. Liam swallowed hard. That's why Jackson's message warned, "Don't trust Emma, because you're not who he thinks you are." The crowd behind them gasped, faces twisting in confusion and fear. Emma staggered back, vision blurring. Her knees buckled. "Wait, what are you saying?" she croaked. "There are two of me?" Liam nodded. "Not in the way you think." Before she could respond, a whispered voice cut through the chaos. Sharp, icy. "Emma, stop lying to yourself." From the shadows behind Liam, another figure stepped forward. A woman, identical to Emma, down to the same tired eyes and paint-streaked jacket. But her smile was twisted, dark, like venom hidden beneath velvet. "Meet your truth," the second Emma said, voice low and cruel. "The real me, the one Jackson actually asked for. The one you erased." Emma's breath hitched. Her heart slammed against ribs, like a wild thing trying to escape. "No," she whispered. "This can't be." The crowd recoiled, whispers turning into shocked cries. "Two Emmas? This is madness!" someone shouted. Liam took a shaky step back. Jackson's world isn't what we believed. He's been caught between past and present, between lies no one dared speak. The twin Emma laughed, a sound like broken glass. Jackson chose me because she remembers. She owns the memories you buried. Emma stared at the mirror image, chest burning from the flood of emotions. Fear, rage, heartbreak, all colliding. Suddenly, the collapsed Jackson on the floor stirred, his pale face twisting in pain. A raspy voice escaped him, barely audible. "She's the key." Emma's hands trembled. She wanted to run, to scream. But here, under the shattered crystals and shattered trust, one terrifying question sliced through her mind. Who was the real Emma? And which one had Jackson been begging for all along? The room spun faster, voices clashing in chaos and disbelief. Emma's eyes locked with her own reflection. Only now, it wasn't just a mirror. It was a trap. And the game? Just beginning. Emma's breath hitched, chest tightening like a vice. Her eyes locked on the twisted twin, a face she knew but didn't recognize. The crowd's chaos shrilled around them, a thunderstorm of gasps and whispers. Jackson stirred again, barely a murmur. "She's the key." The words slipped like shadows across the room. Suddenly, a deafening crash tore through the silence. The grand ballroom's thick glass windows shattered outward, shards exploding like jagged fireworks into the night air. A violent gust slammed through, snatching scarves and papers, carrying screams up into the cold city sky. Emma stumbled back, heart hammering against ribs that felt ready to burst. The second Emma's smile twisted wider, almost a snarl. "You're not ready, but it doesn't matter anymore." Then, before anyone could move, Jackson's body jerked violently. His eyes snapped open, clear, alive, but something was wrong. A terrifying grin split his pale face, not pain, but pleasure. "Surprise," he croaked, voice low and cracked like broken glass. The room froze. No one breathed. Emma's pulse lurched wild. Liam's face drained of color. Jackson struggled up, his movements mechanical, almost puppet-like. "Jackson?" Emma whispered, stepping closer but frozen by shock. He laughed, a cold, cruel laugh that didn't belong to the man she thought she knew. "I never needed a fake wife," he said, voice dripping with venom. "That was the lie, the story to trap you." A wave of nausea crashed over Emma. His eyes, dark now, pinned her like a hunter's prey. "I called you here, for both of you," he said, glancing at the twin beside her, "because I needed to choose which one deserves to live." A sharp gasp split the cold air. Emma's twin stepped forward, eyes burning with rage and desperation. "You bastard," she spat. Jackson's lips curled in a smile. "The truth is, one of you is a phantom, a ghost in my mind. The other, well, you're just the shadow meant to vanish." Emma's head spun, her teeth clenched. "What are you talking about?" Jackson's hand flicked to his chest. A thin line of blood seeped from beneath his jacket. You think I was the target? No. His voice dropped. I'm the weapon. The crowd shrieked in panic. Emma's twin froze, face paling. Liam stepped forward, trembling. Jackson, what do you mean? He turned slowly, eyes wild, furious. All these lies. Marion wasn't the woman beside me. Marion is the name of the nightmare I built inside my head to keep both of you alive. A chill wrapped the room. Emma's breath hitched. Marion? She barely whispered. Jackson nodded, slower now. You're twins. Identical, yes. But only one of you is real. The other is my madness. A memory I created to protect you from a past that devoured our family. Tears welled suddenly, as panic bubbled up, raw and sharp. Emma gripped her head, mind racing. Which one am I? Jackson, Liam said, voice breaking. You're losing it. The attack. No attack, Jackson hissed. It was me. I faked it, the collapse, the text. Everything was to break you open. To find out who is flesh, who is twisted shadow. Emma stepped back, heart shattering into shards. Her twin whispered, voice cold, deadly. We're both prisoners of his mind. Suddenly, sirens wailed louder outside. Glass tinkled from above, the last crystals of the shattered chandelier. Emma's vision blurred. Her hands shook uncontrollably. I'm real, she sobbed, voice cracking. But which? The question screamed louder than the sirens and the crowd's hysteria. Jackson collapsed again, but smiled darkly, eyes gleaming with insane clarity. This is only the beginning. Behind Emma, the crowd parted as a shadow moved fast. A new figure appeared. A woman, older, commanding, with steel blue eyes cold as ice. She whispered, voice slicing through the nightmare. Stop pretending, Jackson. You can't rewrite the past. Jackson's wild gaze snapped to her. Mom, he growled. The room exploded into stunned silence. Emma barely heard the words over her heartbeat, pounding like war drums. Jackson's mother? The missing piece nobody saw coming. The one who'd been pulling strings in the dark. The truth twisted into a knife. Emma staggered. Everything shattered again. Her world wasn't broken. It was a lie. And now, the real war was about to begin. The silence cracked as Jackson's mother stepped forward, her voice cold, slicing through the frozen crowd like a knife. Enough of this charade, she said, eyes directly on Jackson. You're spiraling into madness and dragging everyone down with you. Jackson snarled, but before he could answer, a sudden noise hit the room. A low beep, a soft alarm, mechanical and haunting, seeping from Jackson's discarded phone on the floor. Everyone froze again. Then, sharp and urgent, a recorded message played through the grand ballroom speakers. This is a containment alert. The subject's identity is compromised. Initiating emergency protocol. Emma's breath caught. The crowd looked around, confused, murmur growing. Jackson's eyes darted wildly. Then His body convulsed violently. Gasps ripped through the room. His skin started to pulse beneath the surface, veins darkening, pitch black, like ink bleeding just under flesh. Hands tightening into fists, trembling violently. "I'm not Jackson," he growled, voice breaking into something twisted and unrecognizable. The twin Emmas stepped back, horror flooding their faces. Liam staggered, stumbling backward. Suddenly, Jackson's flesh began to shift, his features blurring, melting, morphing. The perfect mask dissolved. In a sickening instant, the man on the floor wasn't Jackson Pierce at all. His skin peeled away like a cracked shell, revealing cold metal and wires underneath. A machine, a lifelike android. The room erupted in screams. Emma's heart pounded so hard it nearly broke free from her chest. "What?" she whispered, voice gone brittle. Jackson's eyes blinked, glass and light flaring wildly. Identity verification failed. His mouth smiled, teeth perfect but empty. "I was never human, not fully, not real." The crowd recoiled as Liam clenched his jaw, shaking his head in disbelief. Emma's twin stepped forward, voice trembling. "Then, who is Jackson Pierce?" The mechanical figure rose slowly, every movement deliberate, sharp. Its gaze scanned the room, emotionless. "I am the prototype, the weapon, the ghost in your memories." A heavy weight dropped in Emma's gut, a truth plummeting so far. It shattered every piece of what she thought was real. Suddenly, the woman who claimed to be Jackson's mother gasped, hand flying to her mouth. "No," she breathed. Emma's eyes snapped to her. "She's the original." The older woman's eyes darkened, haunted. "I built him to protect us, to replace the son I lost." Silence slammed hard. The Jackson on the floor, this machine, was a copy, a cover, and the man Emma had begged for, the twin who vanished, he was still out there, somewhere, real, but lost. Emma's voice trembled, raw and breaking. "All this time, I was talking to a lie?" The android's smile widened slowly, cruel and empty. "Lies were necessary. Truth is chaos." Suddenly, the emergency alert grew louder, red lights flashing across the room. Silent backup, locking down doors and windows. Emma swallowed hard. Panic curled tight in her throat. If the machine was here, then what had hit Jackson moments ago? Who was really behind the attack? The crowd's chaos twisted into raw fear. Liam looked grim. This isn't just a game or a breakdown. This is something else. Emma's twin took a step closer, fierce now. "We're puppets in a stage bigger than us, and the strings just tightened." Emma's hands shook uncontrollably, her mind racing, her whole world ripped apart by steel and secrets. And then, from across the room, that chilling voice from the speakers crackled one last time. System override, identity sync, commencing. Every eye snapped toward the far end of the hall, and Emma, frozen in place, whispered, "What the hell just started?" The walls seemed to close in. The night had just swallowed the truth, and now no one knew who was human, or who was truly alive. The red lights flashed across the grand ballroom, sharp, urgent. The cold metal beast that had worn Jackson Pierce's face stood rigid in the center, scanning every terrified eye. Every breath was uneven, the silence crushing like a fist. System override, identity sync commencing. The mechanical voice hummed again, low and relentless. Emma's heart pounded so hard she thought it might burst through her ribs. She barely noticed the crowd around her, faces pale, mouths open, shadows melting into darkness, hands frozen at their sides. Then, a sudden brittle crack split the air. Everyone's heads whipped toward the massive doors at the far end of the room. They had slammed shut, and now light flooded through the narrow opening. But it wasn't the police or help. No, it was him, the real Jackson Pierce, staring in, alive, or at least alive in a way that punched through every doubt. His face was battered, eyes dark and stormy with anger and pain. Blood trickled from a deep gash across his temple. But there, beneath the bruises, he was real, raw. He took a single, ragged step forward, and then collapsed. A gasp roared through the crowd. Emma's breath caught. No one said a word. Liam pushed the door fully open, dragging Jackson inside. His voice was hoarse. He's been missing. For months. The ballroom fell silent except for Jackson's ragged breathing. Emma's knees threatened to give out. The illusion shattered, cracked into dust. "How?" she whispered, voice trembling. Why was he gone? But before Liam could answer, the mechanical Jackson powered down with a harsh, metallic groan. The two, machine and man, lay opposite each other like twisted mirrors. Then the power surged back with a jarring, inhuman shriek that made the crowd wince, and the android's face split open, not like a robot's shell, but like skin tearing. A third face blinked into the flickering light. It wasn't Jackson. It wasn't the twin Emma. It was someone. Something else. A woman. No, the woman. Jackson's mother. But younger, brighter, unscarred. Her eyes wide, frantic, full of something more terrible than fear. Recognition. The room froze again. Emma's head spun. "How is this possible?" she gasped. The younger woman stepped forward, voice sharp and shaking. "You don't know the half of it." Suddenly, her face twisted into something she fought to hide. A look not of pain, but of triumph. "This isn't just a lie or a trick. It's a loop, a trap." The older matriarch faced them, quiet but deadly. "We built all of this, not to protect, not to destroy, but to rewrite." Emma's hands shook. "What do you mean?" The younger woman's eyes sparked. Jackson didn't lose himself. He was taken, pulled out of time, dragged into what you think is the past. Liam's mouth fell open. The room stilled, the stakes suddenly so much higher. Emma's twin swallowed hard. The younger woman lowered her voice to a whisper. "We are copies, echoes. His real self, where he belongs, is trapped years ago. A breath caught tight in Emma's throat. You mean all of us? We're stuck? Stuck in a loop where the past and future fight for control. Her twin nodded slowly. The older woman, Jackson's mother, stepped forward, voice cold as ice. And the machine? The android. It's not a weapon. It's a key, the younger woman said. A key designed to unlock the door to him, to us, to break the cycle. Suddenly the android twitched, metal and flesh merging in the shuddering motion. It hissed, "System override complete." Then, in a voice almost human, low and trembling, "I remember everything." Emma's world fractured. Her heart slammed because the truth wasn't just breaking out. It was tearing down every wall she ever thought was real. The past wasn't behind them. It was waiting to pull them all back inside. And the question, the terrifying question, wasn't who was real. It was who would survive the reset. The mechanical Jackson's eyes locked with Emma's. A slow, cold smile spread. Are you ready to remember? The air snapped. The lights flickered. The nightmare was alive again. And nothing would ever be the same. The mechanical Jackson's cold eyes locked with Emma's. A slow, cruel smile spread across his lifeless face. Are you ready to remember? He whispered, voice low, trembling, almost human. The lights flickered. The nightmare felt alive again. And then, a piercing scream ripped through the room, shattering the silence like glass. Emma's head jerked toward the far side of the ballroom, where the crowd had gathered, faces pale and shifting, eyes wide with terror. From the shadows, a figure stumbled forward. A man, wild-eyed, clutching a small, blinking device. "Stop!" he cried, voice cracking with panic. "You don't know what you're doing." Liam's face went white. "Who is that?" The man's chest heaved. "I'm Mark. I worked with Jackson. On everything." He held up the device like it was a bomb. "This isn't a memory reset. It's something else. Something worse." Emma's breath hitched. Her hands trembling, she stepped forward. "What do you mean?" Mark's eyes darted over the crowd. "That machine, you think it's Jackson? It's not him. It's a failsafe." A low hum thrummed through the room. The device blinked faster, red lights pulsing. Mark's voice dropped, desperate. "If that android finishes syncing..." He pointed at the mechanical Jackson. "The failsafe will activate. It'll erase everything. All real memories, all people. It will reboot the entire system. Everyone here, gone." Whispers exploded. "No, stop," Emma shouted, heart pounding against her ribs. But before anyone could move, the android jerked. A harsh grind filled the air as metal claws slid up its arms, tearing through synthetic skin. A terrible sound, half mechanical screech, half human scream, echoed like a nightmare waking. And then, Mark's eyes flashed wide in horror. He stumbled backward, dropping the device. It clattered on marble, red lights speeding up in a deadly countdown. The room froze. Breaths held, hearts pounding, so loud it felt like the clock itself was ticking down to doom. Emma's twin gasped, stepping forward. "It can't be," she whispered, voice trembling. Mark backed toward the exit, face pale as death. "Jackson wasn't just taken," he said, voice breaking. It's not a person anymore. It's a control program. The real Jackson is a ghost trapped in the system." Suddenly, screens around the room flickered. Security cams, desktops, and phones, all lighting up with static. Then clear images. The crowd gasped as they saw a small, dark hospital room bathed in cold, white light. Inside, Jackson, still and pale, wires attached to his body. But not alone. Next to him was a machine, a sleek chamber, blinking green, and inside it, a tiny but very deep thing, sleeping baby. Emma's eyes go wide. "What?" she whispers. Liam steps closer to the screen, voice caught. "That's..." Mark shakes his head, struggling to speak. "That baby, they're connected. The entire Jackson Pierce project started because of that child." The mechanical Jackson twisted, jerking violently as the countdown on Mark's device neared 0. "No!" Emma screams, moving to grab the device. But Liam holds her back. At the last second, the device explodes. Flame and smoke burst up, blinding light filling the ballroom. When the smoke clears, the mechanical Jackson's face stares blank, lifeless. The doors slam open once more, and into the chaos walks a young woman. Identical to Emma, but her eyes glow with an unnatural, hard blue fire. She looks at the crowd, then directly at Emma. "I've been waiting." Her voice is calm. Too calm. The room falls into a stunned silence. Emma's heart shatters. Because this wasn't just about a fake wife or a lost Jackson. This was never about them at all. It was about something far bigger. And now, the real war was only just beginning. The room was frozen. Emma's heart pounded against her chest like a drum gone wild. The woman stepping into the chaos. Her double stood calm, eyes burning with that unnatural blue fire, untouched by the storm raging around. "I've been waiting," the twin said, voice steady but cold enough to freeze the air. Emma's breath caught. Around them, people whispered, backs pressed against walls, eyes darting between the two women like they were watching a battle about to explode. Then, without warning, the lights flickered violently. The loud hum in the room twisted into a low growl. The massive chandelier, broken and bare, clattered as dust rained down. Suddenly, a sharp crack shattered the thick silence. Not the ceiling or walls, but the floor beneath them. A deep, rumbling crack split open the marble tiles right at Emma's feet. She stumbled, gasping, grabbing a nearby pillar to steady herself. Faces around the room blurred with panic. Water, or something like it, spilled slowly from the edge of the crack, glimmering dark, thick Movement. Someone shouted, fear sharpening their voice. Emma's twin smiled darkly, stepping forward as if drawn by the growing rupture. But before the split could widen, steady hands caught Emma's arm. Liam, pale and shaking, whispered, "You need to see this. Now." He dragged her toward the side of the room, near a neglected emergency exit, barely lit. Inside, a faint screen flickered with static. Liam pushed a panel open, a hidden control hub no one knew existed. Lines of code streamed rapidly. Suddenly, a burst of images flooded the small monitor. Faces and moments, loops of memories, blending and twisting. Emma's eyes widened as she watched shadows and light switch places, her twin fading and reforming, the mechanical Jackson warping into something else entirely. Then, a final image froze on the screen. A voice, distorted and fragmented, whispered, "She's not the enemy." Emma blinked. Then Liam's voice cracked, barely audible. "Emma, I don't think you're the twin at all." Her heart stalled. "What?" Panic climbed her spine like icy fingers. Liam swallowed. "There's no second Emma. No twin. You're the copy." Emma's hands trembled, hot tears burning. "I'm the fake?" He nodded, biting his lip. "And you and all of this are inside a program, a simulation." This ballroom, the people, even that robot, it's code designed to test you. The world tilted. The rubble, the chaos, it was all screens, wires, shadows. Not real. Her legs gave out. On the floor now, breath ragged, she looked up. Her blue-eyed double watched with hard silence. "Welcome," the twin said softly, "to the real nightmare." The door behind them hissed open, and into the dim light stepped the real Emma. Older, fierce, the kind of sharp you don't fake. She looked at the copy on the floor, the trembling one, and whispered, "You were never alive. I was always the one who ran from the darkness." Emma, the copy, felt the room collapse around her. No memories were hers, no past. She was a lab ghost, a shadow created to replace someone lost long ago. Her breath hitched in a strangled sob. All this time, begging, fighting, hoping, it was never her story. It was a cruel testing ground, a cruel trick. Behind her, the real Emma knelt slowly. "Now," she said coldly, "we begin the real game." The world blurred, lights dimmed, code and flesh tangled, and the question that killed all hope, which Emma will survive when the system shuts down? The fake's last breath was a shaky whisper. "Who am I, really?" And the real war? It had just swallowed her whole. Emma's breath shuddered, her blue eyes locking with the colder, harder gaze of her double. The air felt too thick, every heartbeat hammering loud enough to drown out the chaos around them. The real Emma crouched beside her, silent, sharp, words like ice dripping from her lips. "You were never alive. I was always the one who ran from the darkness. Emma, the copy, felt everything unravel. Past, present, future. It all twisted into a knot she couldn't untie. Her hands trembled, a hot tear slipping down her cheek. Then the unthinkable happened. From the shadows just beyond the control hub, a sharp crack echoed like a whip. The crowd turned as a piercing light blasted through the ballroom. Blinding white, a figure burst forward, flat on their back, but kicking wildly, arms flailing. It was Liam, but it wasn't Liam anymore. His skin was peeling away, literal strips of flesh sliding off like paper. His eyes, once human, flickered with circuitry and cold fire. "Liam?" Emma gasped, crawling forward, her voice breaking. He grinned. No warmth, no life, only a mechanical snarl. "I'm not who you think," he snarled. "None of us are." Frozen, Emma's heart screamed. Then, with a crackling sound, like breaking glass, Liam's body twisted painfully. His flesh crumbled, revealing something shocking underneath. A perfect carbon copy of her face. The face of the copy Emma. Her breath caught. "Why?" she whispered, voice strangled. Liam's eyes glowed deep blue, exactly like her twins. "Because this," he hissed, voice like metal grinding bone. "This was never about finding the real Emma. You weren't a copy. You were the original." Whispers exploded across the room. The real Emma's face twisted with disbelief. "No, that's impossible." A cold laugh cut her off. The mechanical Jackson, motionless but alive, spoke, its voice colder and clearer than before. "Identity correction. Subject Emma Clark is prototype unit Alpha." Ah! Emma's knees buckled again, tears stinging hot. The room spun faster, voices overlapping. The twin moved closer, eyes sharp, voice deadly. "You were made first, the one who remembers, the one who feels pain." Emma's copy self collapsed into Liam's strong arms. Arms that were now something else entirely. And then, the lights flickered. A heavy silence fell. A sudden metallic clink came from the shattered chandelier. And then a low, steady heartbeat sound. Not from Jackson. Not from Liam. From Emma. From inside her. She gasped, clutching her chest. A small panel on her wrist popped open, glowing red. Her fingers shook as text blinked on the screen. "System override, reactivation in progress." Her mouth went dry. Her mind raced. "Wait, wait," she whispered. The crowd's murmur turned to horror as the twin Emma's face drained of color. "You're not human," she breathed. "You're one of them." Tears fell faster now, Emma's hands trembling like broken wires. "No," Liam said, voice cracking, as he looked down at her, disbelief sinking in. "You're not a copy, not the fake." Emma looked around, panic burning sharp. The real Emma, her rival, stared back with a cold, sharp edge. "If you were the original," the real Emma said quietly, dangerous, "then what does that make me?" The mechanical Jackson stirred, slowly rising, its eyes locked onto the two Amelias. The room went deadly quiet. Then, in the softest, most chilling whisper, the android said, "You're both programs, both illusions, both fragments of a system that never existed outside code." The floor trembled beneath them all. The chandelier's last crystals tinkled down. Emma's head spun. Her chest tightened. Her hands clenched. And as the red override timer counted down, she realized the nightmare wasn't about survival anymore. It was about deletion. And no one, not Jackson, not Liam, not either Emma, was really alive. The question now wasn't who they were. It was who would be erased first, and what waits beyond the reset button. The red timer blinked faster now, its final seconds stabbing through the silence like lightning. Emma's hands shook, her chest tightening so fiercely she thought she might choke. The ballroom was a cage, air thick and electric, faces ashen, eyes darting like trapped animals. The two Emmas stood opposite each other, breaths shallow, hearts pounding wild drums in the quiet. The mechanical Jackson hummed cold and steady, a frozen sentinel waiting to erase everything. Then the lights cut out. Darkness swallowed the room whole. In the shadow, a faint voice broke through. "Emma, listen!" The real Emma's whisper sliced the black like a crack of thunder. The copy Emma's breath hitched, eyes frantically searching. Suddenly, emergency lights flickered back on, soft and crimson, painting the walls in blood-red streaks. The countdown froze. Silence. Relief. A heartbeat. Liam appeared at their side, pale, eyes wide and urgent. "The override failed," he gasped. "Someone stopped it." The crowd released held breaths like a wave crashing on a shore. For a long moment, nothing moved except the slow rise and fall of the real Jackson, now supported by Liam. Emma, the copy, collapsed weakly, tears spilling over raw cheeks. "This isn't over," the real Emma said, voice low but fierce. "Not by far." Her gaze locked with the copy's, a flicker of pain, pity, and something unspoken passing between them. Jackson coughed, voice rasping. "You're both part of me. One memory lost, the other hope." The room shifted, faces blurred. A spark of something fragile glimmered. The nightmare had cracked, just a little. Then the real Emma stepped forward, drawing strength from the wreckage. "We're trapped in a loop, yes," she said, voice steady. "But inside that loop, we fight, we survive." The copy looked up, trembling. "Who am I?" she whispered. "You're more than code," Liam said softly. "You're the chance for a different ending." Suddenly, the ballroom doors burst open. Police flooded in. "The system's been compromised," an officer called. "Everyone's safe now." Emma, Ulf versions, looked around, the harsh fluorescent glare burning. In that moment, the line between real and fake blurred again. But for now, the terror slipped away like smoke. Outside, the city was waiting. But questions burned hotter than ever. Who would rewrite the story next time? Who would be left when the reset comes again? And most important, was anyone truly free? The nightmare wasn't done. It was just beginning its new game. And Emma, both of them, were trapped deep inside. Now, if you've been holding your breath through this roller coaster, here's the deal. You need to subscribe right now. No delays, no second thoughts. This channel, it's where the real stories live. If you want to keep unlocking these jaw-dropping secrets, hit that red button immediately and smash the like button right now. Seriously, this is the moment to show your support and help the algorithm blow this story up for everyone to see. Then, flood the comments section. I'm dying to know your wildest theories, your shock moments, your guesses on what happens next. Don't hold back. This is our community's heartbeat. Finally, don't wait even one more second to share this video. Send it to at least 5 friends who need to see this ending. Trust me, they'll thank you later. Only the true fans get how crucial it is to do all this. So if you're here for the drama, the mystery, the chaos, prove it. Subscribe, like, comment, share. Because this, right here, this is just the beginning.